Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is the time where I use my week ahead spread to give us an understanding into a topic related to living an intentional life. And if you are interested in living an intentional life, if you're interested in living life intentionally, you know that choice is an important element in that life, because each choice that we make shifts or redirects the current of intention so that it can include the new thing to do, the new person to meet, the new experience, the new object that we want to possess. Now, each choice that we make for how we want to live our lives, what we want to experience, and who or what we want to interact with, shifts the flow of intention to include that on our paths. So choice is important. However, in this video, we're talking about a different kind of choice. Not the choice of what I want to do with my life, who I want to meet, who I want to become, the job that I want, the place I want to live, the relationship that I want. We're thinking about a more personal choice, if that can be possible, if this could be more personal. We're thinking about the choice of what to do with our thoughts. The choice of what to do before something becomes a creation out there and intention starts flowing towards it, perhaps. So, I've got the spread laid, and let's take a look at it. These cards are beautiful, aren't they? And they look wonderful together, don't they? I think they are a perfect match. They're a lovely match. And as usual, if you're interested in getting these decks, there will be information at the end of the video giving you the names of the decks and the creators. And also below the video in the description box, there will be links for you to go get the decks if you want to purchase them for yourselves. Any of them or all of them. However, I just want to let you know that all of these decks are currently available. However, the Tarot de Saint Croix deck is available in a different edition. I'm using the first edition. However, the second edition does not have the orange borders around it. So, if you want to use or get a hold of the Tarot de Saint Croix without the borders, the borderless edition, there will be a link for that below. Unfortunately, the first edition is out of print. So friends, you saw the spread. What did you think? Can you see how this spread is about choices? Let's take a look at the first or central set of oracle cards, which gives us the overarching theme for this spread. If you are a returning visitor and you had seen the last 2 weeks of videos using this spread with these decks, you'll notice that this central section of oracle cards is a little bit different. Instead of 3 cards in the center, there's a 4th one on top. And let me tell you why. When I was laying out the spread, I started with the oracle cards first, and then I laid the inquiry cards around the sides, and then I answer the questions on the inquiry cards with each set of tarot decks. So first with the Tarot de Saint Croix, and then with the Fountain Tarot for this spread. However, when I was laying the oracle cards, first I laid the first one, the root chakra card, and then I laid the timeline card, and then I laid the stuck card. But then, just as I was about to reach for my inquiry cards, I noticed something. That timeline card reminded me of another card. Actually, a couple of other cards. One of them is a the Four of Wands from the Tarot de Saint Croix, which looks a little bit, well, it's not similar, but it has that same crossroads as a central image. And there's a woman riding down the path on a white horse, and there are four torches blazing at the crossroads, and there's a cairn, a stone circle, a little bit like a mini Stonehenge off to the side. However, it also reminded me of the Crossroads card in Lenormand. And when the Crossroads card in Lenormand comes up, you look at directionality. Yeah? You look at where the choice is coming from, usually the card below, and then you follow the path to the cards that it points to see what the choices are. And so looking at this card, I thought, there are 3 possible choices indicated in this card. There's a path going to the left, there's a path going to the right. I have cards for those, but there's also a path going up. I don't have a card for that. Let's try pulling a card for that and see if it makes sense in the overall spread. And it made sense. It made wonderful sense. And I feel blessed that I made that choice, because I think it really adds depth to this reading. So let's look at the cards. Let's begin with that central card, the timeline card. And the timeline card, as you can see here, is a crossroads. Yeah, there's a path sign pointing up from below, and there's another path sign up above that. And I'm going to read directly from the guidebook for this for just a moment, so please bear with me. Timeline. This isn't the entire section, this is just a little part from the guidebook. Choices made in fear elicit a heavier vibrational experience. That makes sense? An absence of choice because of fear elicits no vibrational change at all. Choices made in love and truth open you up to a lighter vibrational energy from source, allowing the experience of desiring more. These energetic clues, lower, heavier vibration, no vibrational change, and energetic lightness, soon become equated to your emotional experience. Fear can stop your life cold in its tracks. Love can speed life up to a point where every moment becomes precious. So you can see in the description of this card, which I did not read until after I laid all of the cards. Then I went back and checked. Give a good indication of those cards that are around here. Now, what do we have? We have choices. Choices, two of them are made in fear. One is a choice made in fear that elicits a heavy vibrational experience. Yeah? The fear of contraction and weighing down. We have another fearful choice that is stagnant, motionless, does not change vibration, does not change your emotional state. And then we have the open choice, the choice of love, the choice of allowing. So we have 2 negative and 1 positive. 1 negative brings us down, brings us more into a more negative state. 1 negative choice elicits no change. 1 positive choice increases the positivity. And remember that each one of our thoughts elicits some emotional reaction. Positive, negative, or neutral is also a reaction. Often we think of no reaction as being reactionless, but it's not. It's a reaction of no change. So when we look at our thoughts, we want to notice how they make us feel. Because that emotional reaction is an indicator of how well we are working with the power of intention. The more closed off, the more constricted, the more resistant we feel, the less available we are to the moving with the current of intention. Now we start to sink like a stone in the current. We'll move, it will move, but at a very, very slow pace. A very slow pace. The reaction of no change can be neither good nor bad, can be in the middle, right? Neutral. Which, if we're already in a positive space, if we're already in an open space, probably will have no effect and will keep moving. However, usually those feelings, those thoughts which cause no change are slightly negative, are not adding to the positive. I firmly believe in the law of attraction. What do you think? Do you understand and believe the law of attraction is a thing? To me, the law of attraction is a thing like gravity is a thing. It's something that doesn't even need belief because it's just there. And thoughts attract thoughts, which is something we're going to look at in just a moment. So, a negative thought will attract negative thoughts. A positive thought will attract more positive thoughts. A neutral thought is not going to elicit change. However, it more often than not is going to shift towards the negative. Because it's not positive. Because it's not an opening. It's going to move a little bit closer toward the negative side. So, each one of our thoughts elicits a reaction. Our experience of no change, I believe, is actually on the negative side. If it were positive, we would feel the change. Even a sense of satisfaction will add to the positivity and we will feel a change. Usually we are desensitized to the negative more than we are desensitized to the positive. So when we feel no change, it's probably an indication that we are in that area of desensitized negative. So this timeline is telling us that our thoughts are going to bring an emotional reaction, and we have the choice for what to do with that. And the oracle cards point to three different choices. Let's look at the one to the right, the stuck card. It looks like chaos to me, the image. We have something, an object in the center, and we have lines around it that sort of indicate movement towards the left, from my perspective, towards the left. And it's called the stuck card. However, it's not the immobile card, it's the stuck card. It's negative emotions or thoughts that stop movement forward. However, they go round and round and round and round and round in one place. Now, kind of like a merry-go-round. Do you remember merry-go-rounds in a playground when you were a child? If you don't, I suppose they're not in every country and not in every time. However, there are merry-go-rounds in Korea, I know that, and there have been for over 2 decades, and before that, I know. And I believe that they are in many parts of the world, a merry-go-round. Something that children can sit on and spin around in. Now there are bars for the kids to hold on to, so that they don't get flung off into the bushes when it goes quicker. But that moving around a point, there is motion, but there is no motion forward. There's just a movement around and around and around and around. And that's what I think of when I think of the way negative thoughts will start to attract other negative thoughts. Negative thoughts that don't move us forward with the powerful current of intention, but keep us in place, just spinning around and momentum increasing and increasing and increasing. Have you ever noticed that? When you've got a thought, a negative thought, a thought of worry or fear or anger or frustration, that thought will increase. You'll think of other thoughts similar to it. And your negative energy will feel like it's increasing, spinning you around and around and around a point of negative emotion. That negative thought attracts more of it. A positive thought will also attract more of it. However, a positive thought will not give us that sensation of being stuck. A positive emotion that increases and increases and increases, that attracts more positive thoughts to it with the law of attraction, will not make us feel stuck, will make us feel free and flowing forward. That stuck feeling comes from that negative thought, that thought of being closed down, weighed down, cut off, and spinning and spinning and spinning in one place. Have you felt that before? I know I have. I know I have frequently, on a regular basis. Now, maybe not as much as 20 years ago perhaps, but it still comes up and I still find myself spinning, and I'm learning to make other choices. And that's what this spread is about, making another choice. So one choice is to do that, to move into getting stuck, with that spinning around and around and around in one place, with gaining more momentum, with more negative thoughts. One way to get out of that is to realize that the more momentum we are feeling, the more we are at the outside of that merry-go-round. Do you remember being on that merry-go-round as a child? I hope so, because otherwise this metaphor is pointless. But when you're on the outside, it feels like you're going very, very quickly. However, if you can get yourself towards the center, even though it's moving at the same speed, it feels like the momentum is slower. It feels like you're moving slower when you're at the center of a spinning wheel. So one way to move out of that trap of spinning and spinning and spinning on the merry-go-round is to first move towards the center, so you start to get more balance, get your balance back. Because that's the first thing we want to have. We want to get our balance back in that cycle of negative thoughts. We want to go to the center, like the center of a tornado or the center of a typhoon. We want to go to the center where it's still negative, but still. And from that place, we can more easily shift. We can more easily move out of it, get ourselves free. Much more easily than if we try to jump off of it when we're feeling the spin of the momentum at the edge of the cyclone. If we jump from there, we're gonna go flying and probably get hurt. One way or another. Emotionally hurt, physically hurt, spiritually hurt. So one way to solve that is to move back to the center and then try to think your way out, feel your way out of that cyclone. Now, remember, here we are, back to the spread. We've got the crossroads. We looked at the right-hand path. Now we're going to look at the left-hand path, and for those of us who are interested in the right-hand and the left-hand path of magic, that's not what we're talking about here. Yeah. We're looking at the path that goes off to the left. And the path that goes off to the left points to the root chakra. The root chakra draws the energy of manifestation up from the ground through us. The root chakra is where we feel connected to the earth and we feel our worthiness to be here in these bodies at this time. It's where we know that we have the right to be who we are, where we are. Now that red root chakra that grounds us and when it's healthy makes us feel secure in ourselves and in our bodies and in our places. So, the other joyful thing about the root chakra is that not only is energy coming up, it's also a way for us to drain negative energy down. We can help move energy down through our root chakra, down into the earth, where it can be recycled and changed into other energetic forms. Now, our earth is a beautiful planet of recycling, reusing, renewing. It takes things within herself and into her core, and with the powerful furnace that is at the core of our planet, will use that energy to make new and radiate it back out towards us, towards creating more life, more abundance, more beauty, more harmony, more evolution. So we can allow those negative feelings and thoughts to drain down into the earth. And we can imagine that. Imagine that negative feeling draining down into the earth, draining down into the crust of the earth and down into the magnum and down into the core, and that energy shifting and joining with other energies and becoming more positive. That could be a meditation practice. It doesn't even have to be a long one. Yeah? If the earlier we catch those negative feelings surrounding negative thoughts, the easier and quicker it is to ground them out. It could be just moments. Or if you found yourself stuck in a cyclone of a whirlwind of negative thoughts and emotions, it might take more time. You might want to sit in meditation for whatever amount of time you're comfortable with. I sit for about 20-minute periods daily. And one possible focus of that meditation could be that those negative thoughts and feelings, when they arise, allowing them to drain down into the earth, and imagining that, seeing that, feeling it in your body as they move down into the earth. That could be a very good meditation practice. However, I don't know if you noticed this, it is still a slightly negative path. It's still a slightly resistant path, because we want to get rid of them. We want to get rid of those negative thoughts, those negative feelings. Wanting to get rid of something, even in this gentle way, is still a path of resistance to what is. And while it might not close us off as much as that stuck card does, as we turn around on our merry-go-rounds on the whirlwind of negative thoughts and feelings, while it doesn't completely close us off in that tight resistance, it's still a shutting down. It's, no, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. I want it to go away. I want to do something that will make it go away. It's still a slightly negative response, a slightly resistant response to what is. Not a dangerous response. It could be a very useful thing for us to do. However, there is another possible choice. Another possible choice that, frankly, I have recently heard of from a very interesting source. Do you remember The Secret? I mentioned the law of attraction already, didn't I? The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. The Secret was a movie, a documentary, that eventually got turned into a book. And it included a lot of speakers, teachers, coaches around the law of attraction. And it's the first time that the law of attraction was made popular, was brought into popular culture. It wasn't the first time that law of attraction was spoken. Now, before Rhonda Byrne, there was already Abraham Hicks. And before Abraham Hicks, there was already Napoleon Hill. Now, the idea of the law of attraction is not new to the 20th century, to the 21st century. However, it was popularized around 2009. And Rhonda Byrne, after The Secret, wrote 2 other books. Actually 4. Let me start. So, after The Secret, I think the next one was The Power, which was about the power of love. A very important book for me. Because love is the open state of allowing that we want to be in, to allow ourselves to attract, to allow ourselves to receive that which we have already attracted. Because the law of attraction is described as being a 3-stage event or series of events. Now, first we set out our intention. Second, it is responded to. And third, we have to be ready to allow it into our lives. So the state of love is a state of allowing us to receive what we have attracted. The next book was The Magic, because being in an open state of love is not easy for most of us. Living 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in an open state of love is not easy. And we needed help. So Rhonda Byrne wrote another book called The Magic, which I think was probably one of the most helpful books for me. The Magic is about the practice of gratitude. For those of us who find it difficult to get to the state of, or the openness of the state of love, gratitude can be that door into that state of love. A door that we can open much more easily than trying to jump directly to love. So the book, The Magic by Rhonda Byrne, gives 28 practices to help us develop a practice of gratitude, which is so important for living an intentional life, I believe, for all of us. And perhaps you've already got your gratitude going. Do you have a gratitude practice? What is that? How do you do it? Is it a practice you do regularly? Is it a thing you do? Is it a journal you write, or a mantra, an affirmation? Do you have a gratitude practice? If you do, write it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. If you don't, I highly recommend it, because it helps us to move closer to that state of openness and love, which we want to be in to live an intentional life, to be open to the powerful flow of intention. Now, there was another book after that called Hero, which is a collection of stories of people surrounding the law of attraction, which is also a good book. I recommend it, but not important for this topic right now. The next book, the one that has just come out recently, is what I'm actually leading towards. It's, I think, called The Greatest Secret. I'm not completely certain. I think it's called The Greatest Secret. You can find it online. Maybe I'll put a link to it below. I haven't read it yet, but I have watched her talk about it in several interviews. And one of the processes that she's talking about in this book is something I already knew and should have known more clearly around negative emotions and negative thoughts. She reminds us that resisting negative thoughts and emotions only adds to the negativity of those thoughts and emotions. It adds power to them. Every time we try to eliminate a negative thought, we are adding negative energy or energy to its negativity. Every time we try to resist, turn away from, ignore, pretend it isn't there, we're adding to the negativity and increasing its power, which is going to add to it and make it either affect us in other areas of our life or come back at us 10 times stronger sometime in the future. Like a wild beast escaping its cage. Another choice that she reminds us of is to allow that negative thought, allow that negative feeling. Not to focus on it, not to think about it, not to give it energy in that way, but to open our arms in, as she says, welcoming it. I welcome this negative thought. I welcome this negative feeling. I welcome this anger. As part of my current experience, I welcome this fear. I welcome this thought of hate, this thought of irritation, this thought of frustration. I welcome that. And did you notice my voice and body posture? I welcome this. I'm not saying I welcome this negative thought. I welcome this negative thought. It's that welcoming softens those walls that we want to construct, softens our heart, softens our emotions, and as they soften, they become slightly less negative. And that's what that card above, the path going up, is the light at the end of the tunnel. This isn't the light at the end of the tunnel being, okay, I know that there will be a good day coming sometime soon. I'll just be patient. I'll just be patient. I'll just be patient. It's got to happen sometime soon. It's got to change. It's got to change. That's not what this light at the end of the tunnel is telling us. The light at the end of the tunnel is telling us to know. Not force ourselves into believing, but know that the sun always comes out after the storm. We know that. We know that the storm clouds that cover the sun have not eaten the sun, have not eliminated the sun, have not killed the sun. They're just storm clouds. And they'll pass or dissipate. Not resisting the clouds. The more resistance we give to those storm clouds, the grayer and darker they will become, and the slower they'll move away. We want to welcome them. Welcome them as if we know that it is time for rain. It's time for rain and it's time for a storm, and allow that. Have you ever tried to disallow or resist a thunderstorm from being around you? How effective has it been? Sure, we can get shelter. That's fine. Find a safe place for yourself. That's fine. We don't have to want to run out into it and expose ourselves to it fully. We can, because if we run out into public, for example, with our storm clouds and shout the rain, or expose ourselves to criticism with our negative ideas and thoughts, we could expose ourselves to more damage, perhaps. Perhaps. I'm not saying that's a certainty, but it's possible. So we're allowed to find a safe space. That's fine. Finding a safe space is not resistance. Finding a safe space for us and allowing the rain to fall. Whether it's tears, whether it's anger, whatever it is. Whether it's frustration, allow it to be there. Welcome it. I welcome this. And remind ourselves that we are the light. That sun is actually not out there. We are the sun. Now, it's easy for someone like me. I'm a Leo, the sun is my planet. However, you are the sun as well. That light of the divine is you. those negative thoughts, those negative emotions are just clouding it for the moment. Welcome them. Allow them to be as they are, and then allow them to move past. Allow the winds to naturally carry them away, without resisting them, without trying to pick them apart, without trying to investigate them like, what made this dark cloud? Why is it here? Because some repeated analysis adds power to the cloud. Sure, we want to do shadow work, of course. I'm not saying no to that. This is part of the shadow work. Allowing the cloud to be there is part of the shadow work. Experiencing it for what it is. Without resisting it, without pushing it aside, without adding power to it. Allow it to be what it is. And if it reveals something to us, learn from that. But we don't want to add energy to it. We want to allow it to be. And you'll find that as you allow it to be as it is, trusting in the light that is within you, the sun that is just temporarily clouded over, having knowledge and more than belief, knowledge, understanding, experience of the light of yourself, and knowing that that is always there, always here, and that those clouds will pass with much less effect. And that's something I'm discovering right now, these days. Practicing whenever I can to allow that negative feeling to be there, allow those negative thoughts to be there, allow them to exist. And then they go. Like a leaf being carried away by the current. Another river metaphor, but yeah, there's the powerful current of intention moving us forward, and there's the current of thought and experience that goes past us like a movie. And some of that negativity is detritus, that's floating on that river, and we can just watch it pass by. We don't have to try and stop it from arriving. Allow it to pass by. The more we allow it to pass by and welcome it for what it is, when it is, and allow it to pass, we'll notice how clearer the water becomes. So this is a mindfulness practice. This is a meditative practice, not a seated, no-mind practice. Well, it is a no-mind practice. However, we can carry that no-mind, mindfulness practice out into our daily lives. And that is what that third choice, that third path is indicating in this spread. To carry that mindfulness practice out into our lives. So when we're having a conversation with somebody and we notice irritation or frustration or anger arising, we can watch it and welcome it. And instead of tossing it on the other person, instead of pushing it off on the other person or repressing it and hiding it from the other person, giving so much more energy to it, making it a huge scary monster. Starting the merry-go-round, spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. If we can choose to make the choice to allow it to be and welcome it, welcome that frustration. I welcome it. I'm welcoming the experience of it. You might notice that you're softening and becoming more allowing. And the more allowing we become, the more that negativity will flow past us. Does that make sense to you? Can you see how that works? So we got these cards that give us three choices. There are other choices. There are certainly other choices. But this spread is giving us three choices. One, a very resistant one. One that keeps us spinning in negativity. Another choice of rooting ourselves, grounding ourselves, allowing that negativity to flow down, but also realizing that that is slightly resistant. We're resisting it. We want it to go away. And then there is the path to the light above, which allows it to be there, welcomes it for what it is, and knows that it will flow past. Okay, friends, we still got 4 questions to ask of this spread. So let's take a look at that first question. The first question is, what if I were free? Free. Free of what? Free of the negative thoughts, the negative feelings that we've been talking about. Because remember, if we were not feeling negative thoughts and negative feelings, there would be no need to make the choice. Yeah? If we were feeling happy and positive, we'd want to get on the merry-go-round, because that merry-go-round doesn't sink us down, it propels us forward. Yeah? A merry-go-round of positive thoughts and good feelings will move us forward in the current of our lives within the powerful force of intention. So that's not even a question. Yeah, we want that merry-go-round to be spinning and gathering more to it. It's the negative thoughts, the negative feelings that we're talking about here. So if we were free of those, if we were free, perhaps not permanently, but at any moment, what if I were free of those negative thoughts and with the negative feelings that accompany them? What would I do? And the answer to this question is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We have the Moon card and we have the Page of Swords. The Moon card, a very watery card. The Page of Swords, a very airy card. Now usually we think of the water being balanced by fire, earth being balanced by air. However, you can see a balance here, I think, as well. The moon. So what would I do? I would dive into my subconscious. I would dive down in there. Because you can see in this card, instead of the water being somewhat removed, the crustacean, maybe a lobster, maybe a crayfish, whatever, the crustacean coming up from the deeps like a somewhat small scary monster, and 2 dogs barking at the moon. 1 dog and 1 coyote maybe. In this card we have the 2 towers being very reminiscent of the High Priestess card. We've got the moon, also reminiscent of the High Priestess card. This Tarot de Saint Croix moon card really echoes the High Priestess for me. And in this card, we've got a person, probably a woman, but a person diving into the water. Now, there are 2 ways to think of this, perhaps. You could see her diving into the water, trying to catch the reflection of the moon, being kind of an illusory thing. And if this card were reversed, I'd say, yeah, that's what it is. But it's not reversed. To me, this card, yeah, it's a reflection of the moon, but it's not the moon that she's after. She is after what is an echo of the moon. Yeah? A rhyme of the moon, if you will. And I see this as a pearl. A very large, expensive, regal, royal, impressive pearl. To me, what I see is she is diving into her subconscious to find the jewels that lay there. The knowledge. When Jung talks about the collective unconscious, it's not all scary monsters down there. There is wisdom down there as well. Our personal unconscious is also not just a collection of scary monsters. There are pearls of wisdom. There are jewels. And sometime at the core of a lot of those monsters is another jewel. That monster is hiding that jewel. For example, think of this. You were a child. You picked up a crayon or a paintbrush or something, and you started creating something, and somebody looked at it and said, "You have no artistic talent. You can't draw at all. That's hilarious. That's so bad it's funny." And you get hurt. You get wounded. You close down that part of you. And it sinks down into your subconscious. And it gets encrusted with thoughts of, I am not an artist, I am not creative. And that becomes a big scary monster for you. Because every time that some creative task is, you're faced with some creative task, that monster rises up and says, you are not an artist, you cannot create. What you try to create is ludicrous. But at the core of that scary monster demon that you created for yourself from that comment is the jewel of the artist that lies within you. So, if you were free of that negativity, you would be free to dive in and look for those jewels that are there. Those expressions of that, you are an artist. You are a lover. You know things without having to study them. You know things from your both personal experience and from the collective experience of humanity. You know some stuff. You know that you are divine down there. You know that you are complete. You are full. You are whole. You are one down there. And that's another jewel you can bring up. It's also the place of our imagination, where we can envision things that we want to choose for our lives in the future. We can find some of that stuff down there. So, what if I were free? I would dive. I would become an Olympic diver of my unconscious. I would become the deep sea pearl diver. And then the other thing I would do is I would page of swords as a verb. I would page of swords. I would page of swords. What is that? I would allow new ideas to arise for me. As I've gone diving down into my unconscious, I would allow myself to experience new ideas from there and from other sources, but also from there. I would allow my curiosity to bloom and grow into an orchard of beautiful inquisitiveness. I would allow my thirst for knowledge to move me forward. So that I've been investigating myself and also the world around me. Because there is no separation. There is no separation. That which I experience as within me and that which I experience as without me from the outside, that's all one continuum. So I would investigate what I experience as the outside world. I would find new ways of communicating what I have discovered. Because that's also the Page of Swords. Not perhaps the most adept at communicating, but finding new ways of communicating. Experimenting with what I want to say, how I want to say it, who I want to say it to. If I felt free, I would do all of that. Plumb my depths and express. Find new ideas and express. Dream and create and express. That's what I would do if I were free. Let's take a look at the second question. The next question is, what's the right timing? And actually, that's a tricky question for me, because for me, time is only the ever-present now. There's no future timing, there's no past timing. All that exists is the ever-present now. Now. We can imagine the future, but that's not something that is the right timing. So the right timing, the only answer possible is now. Now. So, is now the right timing is, I suppose, the correct question. And the answer to this question in this spread is one the Page of Wands and one the King of Coins. And I think that the King of Coins is the place we want to begin with. What do we see? We see an elderly man. Well, I don't know. How elderly? How old do you think he looks? He looks older than me, to me, but he might not be. He is sitting in a room, I suppose. It looks like an elevator to me. But he's sitting in a room, very comfortable. He's got a coin above him. He's in somewhat elegant clothes, what looks to me like perhaps a smoking robe. Now, remember when the rich guys would go off into another room with their cigars and wear clothes so that their regular clothes wouldn't stink of cigar and smoke cigars and talk? That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this, although perhaps not so necessarily restrictive of gender. Because I think the King of Coins can also be a woman. And so there were some salons where women were free to smoke cigars in Europe, in France, for example. Yeah? The gender thing is not constant over time, and it's not the same in every country. So let's get past the gender thing for right now, because I don't think this King of Coins is a male. I don't think he is necessarily an old male. I don't think the King of Coins is necessarily gendered or sexually expressive. This King of Coins is, to me, the person who has stability, who has a sense of their own abundance, who has security and discipline. Not security of the foolhardy, but security of the disciplined. I've made my place in the world. It doesn't have to be a rich place. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a mansion. It could be a small apartment on the upper, in Brooklyn. I'm sorry. But it could be anywhere. It could be in the projects somewhere. It could be anywhere. But that sense of security, I have my place that is secure and that I feel comfortable within. And I have my discipline within my secure space. I feel powerful within my sphere. I feel like I have not manipulative control, but I create, that I control the creation within my sphere. Whatever that sphere is. I feel empowered within my sphere. I feel enterprising within my sphere. I can create. I can interact within my sphere. The King of Coins to me is a person who can work easily with other people. It's not an isolated king up on a tower giving commands. He's a co-creator. And I keep saying he, but the king is a co-creator. They are a co-creator. This person is a co-creator. An established co-creator. Not something new like, oh, I suddenly feel comfortable. I suddenly feel okay. But an established one. Someone who is within their space and able to function creatively and enterprisingly within their space. So what is the right timing? When I feel that, when I feel stable and able to function freely and creatively within my space, then I want to find my inner Page of Wands. I love this Page of Wands. You have a youngish person in a tree holding up the wand, and what do you see that person doing? Is that person creating a cloud with the wand? Is the person adding energy? Is the person painting with their wand, painting the clouds? However you see this, the Page of Wands is the inspired creator, the new, inspired, fresh, excited, interested, curious creator, the one of discovering new stuff, new toys, new things to play with, new things to make. The one of limitless potential. Because it is so nascent, it's just in the beginning. So there's so many possibilities, that directions it could go in. Motivated, a free spirit. Within my place, I can become the free spirit, and that's the right time. Energetic. This page is energetic and motivated. So when I've got my space, when I feel my security, when I feel my power, when I feel enterprising, then I can pick up my wand and play. Like the Page of Wands. And create whatever I want to create. That's the right timing. When I feel secure. When I'm frustrated or trying to beat my way out of some prison cell, or I'm struggling to find a stable ground, that is not the right timing. The right timing is when I feel stable and open and moving. Then I'll pick up my wand and create. Does that make sense? Let me know. And let's go on to the third question. The third question is always an interesting question to me. I mean, not always the third question, but this question, when it comes up, is always an interesting question to me. What would feel even better? Well, what is the main question? The main question is negative thoughts. I have this negative thought, I have a negative feeling. So what is the thing that what would feel better than that? And our two answers are the Three of Pentacles and the Hierophant, number 5. Interesting answers. So, Three of Pentacles, what is that? The Three of Pentacles, in this card you see a figure, a female figure to me, a figure, something like an Isis figure, whole with the Isis kind of crown on her head, and holding a disc with a pentacle on it. Now the Three of Pentacles. That's one of the first. A second pentacle is up in the sky, like the moon. And the third pentacle is in a picture, on an easel, being painted. Now, is this person painting the pentacle being held by Isis? Or is this person painting the pentacle, which is the moon? We don't know. All we see is that pentacle, the third pentacle. And the Three of Pentacles to me is teamwork. It's collaboration. It's learning and implementing that learning with other people. It can be recognition, but I don't think recognition is the answer for this one. It could be fraternity. Not like fraternity and sorority, but like, as in we used to say, the brotherhood of man. Very sexist language now, but in the past wasn't received as sexist as we receive it now. Yeah, the siblinghood of human would be, I suppose, the more modern version of that. The siblinghood of humans. So that's also the Three of Pentacles. Our siblinghood. That we are all related. We are all one family. And we're all here working together. We're all here co-creating. So what would feel better is to realize that we are all here co-creating. It's not all up to us as individuals, and in fact it can't be up to us as individuals, because we are not individuals. We are part of the one. We are the one. And the one is not an individual, it is a collective of indivisible being. Why do I say indivisible? We can't separate us out and count them. We are not countable. Now, the one is not countable. It is the one. And it is a collective. And it is the Three of Pentacles, working together to create, to make, to manifest, to bring forth. So, what would feel better is remembering that we are doing this all together. We have our own imagined universes that we create and we are living in. However, there is an overriding reality, which is the one. I think that's what the Three of Pentacles is reminding us in this answer. The next is the Hierophant. And you see in this card, instead of some dude with a religious hat and garb on, spouting out and directing two other dude-like figures in front of him, we've got a person standing in front of a very bright box, opening the lid and investigating what is within, which is also part of the Hierophant to me. It's spiritual wisdom, tradition, religious beliefs. Religion is not always a negative word. I think we can be open enough to move past that understanding that religion is not antagonistic to spirituality, and spirituality is not antagonistic to religion. They are overlapping and winding experiences of reality and understandings of reality. And each religion has its own understanding and way of describing reality, and we may fall more in line with one religion than another, which is all good. We may not find ourselves flowing in the same direction or walking the same path as any religion, which is also good. I think having an understanding of spirituality is important to becoming a self-actualized human. However, that could or could not include religion. It doesn't mean you have to shun religion either. So, the Hierophant is religious beliefs and spirituality, and conforming to a set of understanding. Whether that is partially self-edited or fully received. It could be conventionalism and institutionalism, certainly, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, the box he's looking in is definitely a square box, which looks somewhat institutional or conventional. However, look at that. Do you remember that box? It is a bright, glowing box. There are rays of light shooting out from the box. The box itself looks like a box made out of light. And the Hierophant has opened the box and is looking in. Looking for the wisdom from the tradition. Looking for the spiritual wisdom from the religious beliefs. Looking for the wisdom from conformity. There is wisdom to conform to. I am conforming to a kind of handed down wisdom when I say that my understanding of time is that it is nothing more than an ever-present now. That is a conventional wisdom that I have received. So, what are the conventional wisdoms that you have received from what tradition? Looking at those and looking at those traditions and finding jewels. And we had the moon card, the diving into our subconscious for jewels. We can also look into spiritual traditions and religious traditions for jewels. And that would feel even better. So, realizing we are all one, that we're all in this together, co-creating, and also realizing that there are traditions that we can draw from. There are religious, spiritual traditions that will help us on our path, that will enlighten us, if you will help us find the light, because actually we're all enlightened. You're enlightened right now. The trick is to realize it, to awaken to that, to awaken to the truth of your own enlightenment. Let's look at the last question. So, the last question. What am I committed to? So, where are we? We've gotten to the point where we've acknowledged that there are currently negative thoughts, negative feelings, and we want to choose what to do with them. And we looked at 3 choices. The one I recommend is to welcome them. Be as they are so that they will pass. And if they pass, we become free, we can do stuff. We can delve into our subconscious. We can gather new ideas and communicate them. And what is the right timing for that? Well, it's not when we're entrenched in the negative thoughts and negative emotions, but when we feel stable. Then we can pick up our wand and we can create. And what would feel even better than being on that merry-go-round of negative thoughts and emotions? What would feel better than the negative thought or the emotion would be realizing that, okay, all is well with the world. I am co-creating. I'm not isolated. And I can find help. And one place or several places that I can find help are in spiritual traditions and religious traditions that exist around me. So, now, what am I committed to? Once I've made the choice to allow the negative feeling, the negative idea to be, welcomed it and allowed it to pass when it's ready, what am I committed to? I'm committed to first the Ace of Swords. Now we had the Page of Swords, here we have the Ace of Swords, the swords of pure potential, the Ace of potential of thought, potential for pure clarity, potential for enlightenment. It's the card of breakthroughs, cutting through the clouds, the card of new ideas, fresh ideas, interesting ideas, the card of success and mental clarity. Now remember, those negative thoughts are cloudy, are clouding our vision. And when they pass, we have mental clarity, the clarity of truth, and the clarity of truth to communicate and be honestly. Now, the Ace of Swords is also an honest card, a card of honesty. So what am I committed to? I'm committed to being the Ace of Swords when I can. Recommitting myself to mental clarity, to being able to know that the clouds will pass and I will have that breakthrough. My sun will shine again, and my potential will shine again as the Ace of Swords. And I will be able to communicate that. And then the next card, the Six of Coins, the card of giving and receiving, the card of sharing the wealth, the card of benevolence and philanthropy, certainly. But rather than seeing a rich person doling out stipends to the poor greedy, the poor hungry people below, this card helps us to re-envision that we are all part of an economy of exchange, of giving and receiving all of the resources here in this physical world. Energy, the energy of the physical. Also things, physical things, we can share those things, receive them, being open to receive them and to give. Now, not hoarding, but being open to and trusting the cycle of things moving through our experience. Sharing time. Giving of our time and our attention. I think that's also part of the 6 of coins. Because time is also, while it is somewhat fictional, because the only thing that is real is the ever-present now, however, it is still a resource. The ever-present now is a resource in this physical world, and we can share that resource with other people and other beings, animals, plants, the environment, spirit. We can share that resource as well. So, what am I committed to? I'm committed to allowing the clouds to pass and embodying the Ace of Swords, and also sharing. Being open to sharing with those around. Whatever those appear to be they human, animal, plant, non-physical being. So, what do you think? Does this resonate with you? Can you see the possibilities that this spread has opened up for us? The choices that we can make? I'm going to buy the book by Rhonda Burns, and I'm going to read it. And I would recommend it to you too. I think it's going to be an easy read, but I think it's also something that will either allow you to re-envision what we can do with our mental emotional space, or reinforce what you're already doing, which is always a benefit. Having information that reinforces our understandings is always a benefit. And I think this book is teaching us a very healthy practice. So, friends, thank you. As always, I hope you will hit the like button. I hope that you will subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the alarm bell. I hope that you have your alarm notifications turned on your device, because if they're turned off, even if you hit the alarm bell, you won't get the notifications. So make sure your notifications are turned on, and also share this with somebody that you might think could benefit from it. Yeah? Be the 6 of coins for us. And comment below. I'd like to hear what you think. If this has resonated with you, if you've gotten any new ideas or new thoughts or new feelings from this, I'd love to engage with you. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and, like the Ace of Swords, pure awareness. Thank you.